Hi, and welcome back to this short video series describing how Nexthink can help organisations to improve the quality and the effectiveness of their IT service management. What we're going to be focusing on now is the operational aspect. When a service is in production, there are a number of processes and functions and capabilities of which this is just a small subset that are necessary in order to make sure that we know the services that we have and the performance of them in terms of how they're being delivered. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to focus on incident management because that really is where Nexthink can provide a huge amount of value proactively, not only in terms of dealing reactively with incidents, but also in terms of preventing them from happening in the first place. If we think about the incident management process, it's a venerable process. It's been around for 30, 35 years, and it hasn't really fundamentally changed in all of that time. The big problem with incident management is that in order for us to deal with an issue, it has to happen in the first place, which means that a problem happens, an end user is affected, a business service is affected, and ultimately the smooth running of the business could be affected. The way that it works, traditionally, is to go through a number of process steps where we need to collect information through logging. We need to understand that information enough to know who should be working on it, what kind of category it should fall into. Once we've got that information, we can then start to investigate the problem. We can then hopefully resolve it, notify the user that his service is restored, and then finally close it in order for management information and reporting to be done effectively. Now, the problem historically with incidents is that it's very difficult to get the information that we need in order to understand the issue and in order to resolve it. And Nexthink can provide enormous value, not only in terms of logging very detailed information about the device and about the end user's experience of that service, but we've also got the ability to provide information to help to understand where it should go, who should be working on it, what we need to do in order to investigate. Nexthink is probably a perfect tool for finding the needle in the haystack, for helping us to identify what causes those problems and help us to establish what the resolution should be. And we've got some additional capabilities. In addition to those 800 attributes that we mentioned earlier on, we've got the ability to automate a whole degree of steps using the ACT component, and even potentially to use the engage component to go out and truly understand the end user's experience of his interaction with IT. But this is really only half of the story. You know, we can certainly help to reduce the time and effort needed to resolve incidents, but ideally those incidents should never have happened in the first place. In some later videos, we'll look at how we can strategically deal with those. But in terms of day-to-day operations, the problem is that for every 30 people, say, that report a problem to the service desk, you might be getting another 200 people who are experiencing the same issues, but for one reason or another, they're not going back and reporting that as an incident to the service desk. These are the only things that the service desk is aware of. They're the only things that the IT organisation is aware of, and consequently, IT's view of the world is incomplete and inaccurate. And Nexthink can help us not only to find the 200 people who are suffering in silence, but potentially the 5,000 people who may suffer a similar issue at some point in the future because their device is configured in the same way, or they're using the same release of software, or at the same patch level. And Nexthink really provides us a unique ability to address that huge part of the iceberg that currently IT has no visibility of.